What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with MMA community goes off on Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat Chimaev's withdrawal from this weekend's main event bout against Robert Whittaker hasn't gone over well with the MMA community. And although Chimaev's manager has shot down talk of him withdrawing due to food poisoning, it's still unclear when Chimaev will return to action. Despite the undefeated contender indicating on Instagram that his sights are set on making a return and his team squashing retirement rumors, the situation has remained a sore spot for the MMA community. After 3 canceled main event bouts against Leon Edwards and 1 against Nate Diaz, and now 1 against Robert Whittaker, fans took aim at Chimaev in the comment section of a post on social media highlighting the 5 cancellations that have occurred throughout his UFC career. As one member of the MMA community joked, "If everyone's pull-out game was as strong as Chimaev, then there wouldn't be an overpopulation issue." Another wrote, "They keep poisoning him so he doesn't become champion. It's so obvious." One fan suggested that the Chimaev hype train has been derailed, writing, "Hype train derailed via pullouts." One fan broke the situation down by writing, "His career has gone downhill since he started training out of both Chechnya and the UAE. Honestly, what does he hope to accomplish? He can't fight in the US. The only available card for him is that one in Abu Dhabi. If he's not fit for that one, he's out till next year." Another took a harsh stance against Chimaev, adding, "Not even sure why he's on the roster." One fan suggested that Chimaev should never get a main event slot again, writing, "Back to the prelims he goes. Even that Japanese kid last Saturday showed up for his main event fight. No more main event offers for Khamzat Chimaev." With retirement off the table, it'll be interesting to see what the future holds for Chimaev. Next up, let's take a look at Sean Strickland reacts to Israel Adesanya versus Dricus du Plessis. After a narrow loss to Dricus du Plessis, Sean Strickland made it clear following his UFC 302 win over Paulo Costa that he intends to wait for a crack at the belt rather than defending his spot as #1 contender. On the heels of the UFC announcing a fight between Dricus du Plessis and Israel Adesanya as the UFC 305 headliner in August, Strickland took to Instagram to react, posting a meme while making it clear that he still plans on waiting for a fight with the winner. Along with the meme, he simply wrote, "I'll wait." Ahead of the UFC 305 collision between Dricus du Plessis and Israel Adesanya in Perth, it's unclear just how long Strickland will have to wait before having a chance to compete against the winner. Given that the du Plessis-Adesanya fight takes place on August 17th, Strickland could find himself on the sidelines through the end of the year, depending on how much damage the winner of that fight takes and how long they're out. Next up, let's take a look at Chael Sonnen makes wild statement about Conor McGregor. So far, it has remained unclear just what injury forced Conor McGregor out of his UFC 303 headliner against Michael Chandler. However, there's been quite a bit of conflicting information circulating regarding the situation. Reports initially suggested that McGregor sustained a shoulder injury, while Big John McCarthy reported that McGregor had a problem with the leg he broke against Dustin Poirier back in 2021. During this week's episode of Good Guy Bad Guy with Daniel Cormier, while discussing Michael Chandler's next steps following the UFC 303 cancellation, Chael Sonnen suggested that McGregor was in rehab for substance issues.
Yeah, and Daniel, you know what? I'm glad that we're actually done talking about this, but I want to mention something else to you on a completely separate topic. What incredible irony that both sides have these massive interests in alcohol, and one side is in the middle of rehab for substance abuse, including alcohol. Not that that has anything to do with this. 2 guys are pushing alcohol, totally unrelated story. And another guy is in rehab for alcohol and other substances. I'm just saying, that's a tough story to tell. Not for nothing, that gets to be a little bit tough, right? Have this proper drink. I'll see you in a proper while, because I'm in a proper facility right now, watching me not have drinks.
The MMA community was quick to react to Sonnen's comments, as one fan wrote, "Chael just lies. He just straight up lies. LMAO." Another added, "Classic Chael, straight for the headline grabber. LOL." One member of the MMA community wrote, "Chael always has some conspiracy theory." Not everyone was dismissive, however, with one member of the MMA community writing, "It would explain why all the videos of Conor partying have stopped." Another added, "Makes too much sense. It's why he's always said he wants to fight, but the UFC didn't book him and never said why so they could protect him. He's been battling this for a while." Conor McGregor's publicist, Karen Kessler, responded to these claims by saying, "Mr. McGregor is with his family. The fight was canceled after an injury he sustained during training." Of course, while the injury isn't expected to keep McGregor on the sidelines for long, the UFC has yet to announce a new date for the bout. Given that, Matt Brown is of the mindset that McGregor may never compete again, despite his hopes that the former champ returns to action with a real training camp. Next, let's take a look at Belal Muhammad sends a warning to Leon Edwards. Ahead of his long-awaited rematch with Leon Edwards, Belal Muhammad has no shortage of confidence, recently predicting that he will finish Edwards when the two share the octagon in Manchester. This week, during a recent episode of the Anik and Florian podcast, Muhammad revealed that he doesn't believe Edwards is the toughest fight for him at 170 pounds, despite being a defending champion.
I don't think he is the toughest matchup for me. When I look at it stylistically, I think I'm his kryptonite. I think that the last couple fights he's had, he's been able to dictate the pace and dictate the distance, right? With the Usman third fight, Usman wasn't the same Usman. Usman was in there hesitant. He wasn't throwing. And I thought that Usman looked worse than Leon looked better. And then in the Colby fight, bro, they threw 60 strikes in a 5-round fight. And he still gassed out in the in the fifth round. Like, how? But... So, like, when all these people come up with this, oh, man, he looked better at this fight. He dominated the two best welterweights in the world. I don't really think he did.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show it. And honestly, when I do it, I'm going to make it look easy. And I think it's going to be another one of those things where people are like, man, maybe he had food poisoning or something. Maybe he's sick. Right. There had to be something that went wrong.
Last summer, after defeating Gilbert Burns, Muhammad stated in an interview with the Schmo that he believed Burns was a tougher opponent than Leon Edwards or Colby Covington. With the win over Burns and Covington now out of the title picture, Muhammad will have a chance to cement his place atop the division when he and Edwards collide on July 27th. Next, let's take a look at UFC Fight Updates. Ahead of the UFC's inaugural event in Saudi Arabia this weekend, let's look at today's UFC Fight Updates, starting with a change to the upcoming UFC Fight Night Denver card on July 13th. With Chris Duncan out of his scheduled lightweight bout against Nazim Sadikov, the UFC has booked Markel Medeiros as a short-notice fill-in. Medeiros is fresh off a win in his UFC debut back in February, while Sadikov has his sights set on bouncing back after a November draw against Vyacheslav Borshev. The following month, the UFC has added 2 fights to the August 3rd Fight Night event in Abu Dhabi, with Javid Basharat and Chris Gutierrez set to compete in a bantamweight fight, and Jai Herbert set to fight Rolando Bedoya in a lightweight bout. The bantamweight clash will see Basharat look to bounce back after a March loss to Ayman Zahabi, while on the flip side, Gutierrez will be looking to bounce back after a December loss to Song Yadong. Meanwhile, in the lightweight division, Jai Herbert will be looking to bounce back after a loss to Fares Ziam last July, while Bedoya will be looking to snap a 2-fight skid of his own that saw him go winless in 2023. Last but certainly not least in the way of UFC fight updates, a light heavyweight bout between Jose Medina and Zach Reese is set to take place on August 24th, with Medina looking to bounce back after a loss on Dana White's Contender Series back in October, and Reese looking to build on a recent win over Julian Marquez earlier this month. Next, let's take a look at Michael Page shuts down Ian Garry's claim. Ian Garry recently revealed in a video for social media that he was planning to push for his UFC 303 fight with Michael Venom Page to be made into a 5-rounder. Despite that, when the UFC had to rebook the main and co-main event bouts for the International Fight Week pay-per-view card, the Garry Page fight wasn't bumped up to the co-main event slot, with the promotion instead opting to book a featherweight bout between Brian Ortega and Diego Lopez. While speaking in an interview with MMA Junkie, Page spoke about the situation, revealing that there was no serious talk of the UFC making their fight a 5-round co-main event bout, despite Garry's claims.
No, that guy, he just talks. It just says stuff. I don't think he would have wanted to spend any more time in the cage with me at all. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I think he just he lacks attention, so he'll just say stuff. But yeah, that was never really anything that even came up. So again, I couldn't tell you. You have to ask him.
Currently, Garry sits as a slight betting favorite with negative 136 odds on FanDuel, while on the flip side, Page is a very slight underdog with plus 106 odds. With a chance for both men to move one step closer to title contention, the stakes couldn't be higher heading into UFC 303 later this month. Now, let's shift gears and take a look at Kelvin Gastelum reveals sad news. After a loss to Sean Brady in his highly anticipated return to welterweight back in December, Kelvin Gastelum knows that with 1 fight left on his contract and losses in 3 of his last 5 fights, he could be on the chopping block. Following his Fight of the Year contender with Israel Adesanya back in 2019, Gastelum went just 2-4 at middleweight, before then making the drop back down to 170 late last year. Ahead of his fight with Daniel Rodriguez this weekend in Saudi Arabia, Gastelum spoke with MMA Junkie to discuss the bout, making it clear that he's in a must-win situation as he faces free agency.
Yeah, no, I just, this one does feel a little different. I feel I need to win. I'm in a must-win situation. I think both of us are. I think we, loser goes home, loser packs. and goes home and doesn't sign with the UFC again. But at the same time, you know what? I'm a man that always thinks positive, so we're going to stay positive.
Ahead of the fight, Gastelum is sitting as a comfortable favorite on FanDuel with negative 250 odds, while Rodriguez sits as a plus 190 underdog as he looks to make a successful return to action after a year off, while also snapping a 2-fight skid. With both fighters looking to return to the win column, it'll be interesting to see who gets their hand raised on Saturday. Colby Covington calls out Sean Strickland after Sean criticized the UFC for its fighter pay. Here's what Colby had to say.
You know, Sean changed his life, so he's kind of hypocritical to be saying this. You know, now he lives in like a really nice, like mansion style type house. Who is he to say this? You know, he's literally being a hypocrite too. Like, he's just talking about the guys that just start in the UFC. He's talking about the 10 and 10 pay. Yeah, that's when you just get your first fight in the UFC. Let's talk about what he's making now. He's making guaranteed at least $500,000 to $1.5 million in that range. Yeah. When I started in the UFC, like, it was 6 and 6. I got paid $6,000 to show, $6,000 to win my first UFC fight. That money, like, as a first time fighter in the UFC, you haven't made the UFC any business. You haven't done anything for the company. So why do you think you deserve to get handouts and get paid? If you go 0-2 on your first contract, you don't win any fights. How should you ever deserve to get paid or get healthcare? You did nothing for the company. You added no value, and you made the company no money. So Sean's in the wrong here again, and I don't know why he's so mad about the UFC. They made him a millionaire too. So, you know, he got molested as a kid by his dad allegedly. So why is he talking bad about the UFC? He's from a broken home. Now he's in a nice home.
The MMA community roasted Conor McGregor for his newest post on Instagram. In the post, Conor is seen drinking his whiskey and celebrating a movie night. It also seems that he's uninjured, which further added to the speculation. Here's what the community had to say. Bro pulled out so he could start drinking again. He either faked an injury or couldn't pass the drug test. What happened to your motivation, man? I'm a fan, but even I'm like, nah, it's over. 1, you look like you're in a remake of American Me, and 2, you're drinking beer in training camp. Yep, keep getting drunk and not fighting. Don't say you will return when you won't. Stop letting your fans down because they're the reason you're in this position. Homie is doing quite well for an injury. Pulled out and then went straight back on the booze, losing fans as the days go by. Was the injury Dana's shaft ripping through your intestines or something? Like, damn. Top comments. Chandler muttering in the mental hospital, just walking in circles. Don't feel sorry. Journey. Persevere. God's plan. At the top. Honor and integrity. Follow through. Red diaper night. Dana. Islam is not pound for pound #1 because Jones is still fighting. Also Dana. I don't know if Jones will ever fight again. What a clown. Poatan is bigger than Sean O'Malley. Highly doubt Sean O'Malley could have replaced McGregor. I know he wouldn't have taken a fight in 2 weeks' notice. Am I the only one who hates the way Sean O'Malley talks? I don't mind him as a fighter, but damn, it sounds like nails on a chalkboard. Here's a tip, Paolo. If you're in reverse gear for the whole fight, you're probably losing.